Every time you resist temptation, you grow stronger. Every time you get over your urges, every time you're faced with a battle and you conquer it, you grow stronger and you get better. You do not get courage before you do the thing. You get courage and you get confidence after you do the thing. And also after you overcome something or after you overcome that urge or overcome that temptation. And this could be temptation in any type of realm, in any type of form: gluttony, laziness, lust, temptation to drink, smoke weed, take drugs, do alcohol, watch scrolling, watch porn, whatever it is, right? Every single time you overcome those temptations, you actually get stronger and you actually grow and you get better. The first step in this whole equation is that you actually can't resist it, right? You can't resist it. What you have to do is you have to transmute it. Instead of resisting it, because whatever you resist persists, you have to transmute the energy, right? Think about temptation, think about your urge as a source of energy, right? So if it's a source of energy, you understand that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be transferred. So you have to transmute that energy. Your temptations, your urges, the thoughts, right? It all has some type of energy around it. And the only thing you can do to actually get over it is to transfer the energy into another place. So that is the first point, is that you must transmute the energy, right? A lot of people, they relate this with sexual transmutation. If you've read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, there's a chapter in his book breaking this whole point down, right? So you must transmute it. You can't resist it, right? You can't resist an energy field, right? You can't destroy it. You can't create it. You can't do anything besides transmute it. So you must transmute the energy. Okay. So all these thoughts, all of these urges, all of these temptations are ultimately energy fields that you're not going to be able to create. You're not going to be able to destroy. What you can do is transmute it into another area of your life that is actually going to be productive. Right. So when you are feeling the urges, when you are feeling temptation, you got to go do something different. You have to stimulate your mind. That is the number one thing that I started to notice, is that you must stimulate the mind, right? And what I mean by that is that watching YouTube, watching TV, scrolling on Instagram are areas of your mind when it's not really being stimulated. You're not really using your mind. Instead, your mind is using you, and you're ultimately not really having any thoughts, right? It's called doom scrolling for a reason, because you are just, there's nothing going on up there. So, in order to really transmute the energy and actually channel it into another section, you have to stimulate your mind. Meaning, you can do things like reading, listening to a podcast, right? Doing some type of creative work, making a YouTube video, going to the gym, actually doing something where your mind is having to work and having to use some thought energy, because that is energy, right? That is you transmuting the energy, right? So for me, when I was sick, I, instead of just continuing to scroll or watching YouTube, watching TV, watching movies, what I did instead was I started to read, right? And that was me still stimulating my mind in a better area. I was actually using my mind instead of my mind using me. Now that I'm reading and I'm having something that is thought provoking and I'm thinking about what I'm reading and I'm staying on focus and I'm staying on task, I was transmuting that energy right then and there, right? So the biggest thing for you guys is just to transmute the energy. Get up, go do something. The worst thing you can do is to continue to be on your phone, to continue to scroll, to continue to stay in the same environment that you were before. That is conducive to failure. You have to go do something and transmute the energy. The second thing to understand when it comes to rising above temptation is that you ultimately have the choice and you have the control at the end of the day, right? There is no one that is going to come grab your hand and put it on your dick. There is no, except a girl, there's no one that is going to force you to drink the alcohol, right? At the end of the day, you control your eyes, you control your mind, you control your mouth, you control your ears, you control what you say, you control all of these things. You have the control. So, whatever sin that you're falling into, understand you have the power and you have the control over it, right? You are just letting your mind get in the way. So, you have the control, and it's your choice at the end of the day. It's your choice, right? What you're doing is a choice, right? If you're falling into lust, that's a choice. If you're being lazy, that's a choice. If you're procrastinating, that's a choice. If you're drinking, that's a choice. If you're taking drugs, that's a choice. These are all choices you are making. And you could also make the opposite choice of not doing it, right? And the more you do it, the more times you make the right choice, the easier it is to continue to make the right choice. Okay. So you ultimately have the control. You have control of your mind. You have control of your ears. You have control of your mouth. You have control of your dick. You have control of your hands. You have control of everything, right? And the reason why people fall into these addictions and fall into these things is because they let their mind control them. They let their mind literally bully them and have these thoughts to make them do stuff that is not conducive to themselves, right? If you are in a situation where the temptation is arising, when the urge is arising, whatever the temptation is to do, to procrastinate, to be gluttonous, right? To lust, any of these things, whatever it is, understand that it is coming from your mind. It's coming from up here. And you have control over your mind. You can tell your mind no, right? You have control. You have the choice. So whenever these things come up, understand that you have the ability to tell your mind no. You have the ability to say, this is not conducive to who I am, right? We're going to talk about this a little bit more, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you have the choice, right? You have the control. I can lead you to the water. God can lead you to the water. We can say all these things. We can teach you all these things. But at the end of the day, it is on you to actually do them, to actually put it into practice, right? You have complete control. You have free will to do whatever you want, but you have to make the right choices, right? And understand that when your mind comes up with things, listen to your heart, not your mind, right? Listen to your intuition, not your mind. Your intuition knows, and you have that feeling in your heart. That is literally your heart telling you you shouldn't be doing this, right? How many times after you have masturbated or after you have, or in the middle of watching porn, you have this feeling in your heart that you know you shouldn't be doing it, right? Every single time. Every single time you do it, no matter what, right? But your mind justifies it. Your mind comes up with excuses. Your mind says, oh, you should do this to release some stress. But your heart, your feeling in your bones is that it's not going to be worth it, right? It's not going to be worth it, right? So always listen to your heart, not your mind when it comes to that type of things. Listen to your intuition, listen to your gut, ignore your mind, okay? And then the third thing that is super, super important is always, always, always think about the man you want to be, right? Think about the person you want to become. Who is that person? Do they fall into these things or are they stronger than that, right? Think about the person you want to be. Think about the man you want to become. And that is just the primary thing in all of this, right? If you always are weighing the pros and the cons of every single decision, every single thing, situation that arises in your life, and then the pro is the alignment with who you want to be, right? That is the choice. That's a decision. Always make your decisions off of aligning and acting in congruence with the man that you ultimately want to become. That is how you breed confidence. That is how you control your mind. That is how you become disciplined. That is how you do all the internal things to get those external things that you ultimately want. Okay. The first step is to start acting in congruence with the person and the man you want to be. Think about the man you want to become, right? When I was skinny and scrawny and I wanted to get jacked and shredded and be a little bit more handsome, right? I had to start doing those things that that person does, right? I had to think, what does that person do? Okay, they probably go to the gym 5, 6 times a week, right? They probably are really strict and clean with their diet. They eat 100% whole natural foods, right? They probably tan. They probably take care of themselves and have a skincare routine, right? They probably do all of these things every single day. And so, if I want to become like that, if I want to do that, then I have to emulate those things, right? Think about the man you want to become, right? If you want to be a shooter like Steph Curry, you're not going to think, oh, well, let me do my own shooting routine. Follow Steph Curry's shooting routine. Shoot the same amount of shots he shoots, right? If you want to be that level of a shooter, you have to put in that amount of work, right? So if you want to be the man that you aspire to be, think about the man you want to be. He might be jacked, he might be rich, he might be in shape, right? But all of those things are external things that have been derived from the internal, as within, so without. So if you want to get to those external things and have that level of achievement, you have to start internal with the choices and the decisions that you're making and think about the man you want to become. Think about that person, right? When I thought about the type of physique and the type of look that I wanted, I had to start acting in congruence with that. I had to start doing that every single day. So I stopped drinking. So I started eating the right foods. I started going to the gym. I started tracking all my meals because that is how I was going to get the physique, right? So start to think about the man you want to become and act in congruence with that through the choices that you're making. Okay. Understand you have control over your own life. You have power over your own life. Okay. And it starts with the choices and the decisions you make. And you have to align yourself with the person that you ultimately want to become. Who is that person? Think about it. Do they do these things? Do they fall into temptation? Do they fall into gluttony, lust, drinking, smoking weed, whatever it is, right? Laziness, procrastination. The answer is no. The answer is no. And so if you want to become that person, start to live in congruence with that, with the choices and the decisions that you make every single day. So once you are able to overcome those temptations, resist your urges on a consistent basis, you are really going to see profound changes in who you are as a person. Remember, as within, so without. You can't chase these external things. You have to focus on developing the internal. And how you do that is through resisting temptation, resisting procrastinating, being lazy, lust, right? Those are all things that are going to make you stronger when you actually resist and overcome them, which is the very first thing that I'm going to write down is that stronger willpower is the change you're going to notice, right? Stronger willpower and the ability to do the right thing under adverse situations is going to come through resisting temptation and overcoming your urges, right? And I'm not just saying urges in terms of sexual, but urges to do whatever the bad thing is, right? Laziness, gluttony, procrastinating, drinking, smoking weed, taking drugs. All of these things are going to arise and have an urge within you because you're a human being. But when you overcome them and transmute them and make the right choice, you get stronger willpower. And the thing about stronger willpower is that it is a transferable skill, right? If you have strong willpower in one area of your life, it's going to transfer to other areas of your life. It's not just like something that goes away, right? So if you can start to overcome your urges, overcome your temptation, you can actually develop confidence within yourself, right? Because you have the ability to overcome things when it gets difficult. You have the ability to face tough challenges and get through them and transmute them and figure out creative ways to get around them or above them or under them, whatever the case may be. You are developing the willpower and the courage to do the right thing under hard situations, right? The morning after I woke up from, having that battle that I did while I was sick, the morning after I felt strong. Like my body felt strong. I felt like I had a greater willpower, greater energy because I overcome that temptation. I overcame that urge, right? I shouldn't have been even scrolling or doing that anyways, right? But the fact that I was and I had this internal battle in my mind and then I overcame it, I got stronger because of it. I went through a battle, I went through a situation, and I came out on top. I came out victorious on the internal level, and that allowed me to have that stronger willpower. So that is the first notice you're going to see within yourself is that you actually have the ability to be a little bit stronger, to have some stronger willpower. So when things get difficult and hard, you're not, freaking out and being like a little bitch, but you're calm, you're cool, you're collected, and you're stoic, and you just do the right thing over and over and over again. So when you start to overcome your temptations, overcome your urges in any single realm, you can develop the stronger willpower and the courage to do the right thing under difficult circumstances. The second change you're going to notice, and this might even be more profound than the first one, is that you enhance the ability to control your mind, right? When you start to overcome these temptations, overcome these urges that really stem from your mind, and you move past it and you overcome it and you win those battles, you begin to have the ability to control your mind, right? And the ability to control one's mind is very, 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 very strong. It's very, very, very important, right? All of these temptations, all of these urges, all of this laziness, gluttony, weed, drugs, alcohol, it all stems from having a bad mental, right? And the reason why people have a bad mental and these things come up is because there is no connection between their conscious and their subconscious mind, right? You have the ability to control your mind, right? And people, they lose that ability. They don't separate themselves from their mind. And then also, they just listen to what their mind wants to do. Your mind really wants to feel dopamine. The ego wants to be satisfied from some future event or from thinking about the past or whatever, right? And all that your mind does is it just brings up past patterns within you. So your mind has three different selves: the superconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious. You are the conscious mind. The superconscious is God or whoever you believe in. And then your subconscious is just the past patterns in yourself. Whatever you've done in the past, whatever you've kind of actions you've done or thinking that you've had, thinking patterns, that is your subconscious mind, right? And so your subconscious mind will bring about ideas, will bring about things based on the past you, based on who you were in the past, right? That is who your subconscious mind is operating off of. And that is why you get these temptations. That is why you get these urges. That is why you get the wanting to do random shit that just doesn't make any sense or have intrusive thoughts, right? That all comes from your subconscious mind that is operating off the past in you. So, what you can do to actually get your mind on the same page as your conscious mind, right? Because your conscious mind, it knows what to do. It is like the feeling you have in your heart, it's the intuition you have, it knows what to do, right? And how you get your conscious and your subconscious mind on the same track is you have to understand that the subconscious mind takes direction from the conscious mind, right? Ultimately, the buck stops here with the conscious mind. So, what you have to do is you have to give your subconscious mind proper direction, okay? So, once you start to do that, your mind gets on the same page as you, right? That is what you'll notice. You'll stop having these intrusive thoughts. You'll stop, having these crazy urges and these crazy temptations because your mind is on the same page as you, right? You are ultimately the deciding factor. You, like I said, you have control, you have the choice. You are the deciding factor. And when you start to decide correctly and when you start to do the right things and you don't fall into these temptations and fall into these urges, your subconscious mind ultimately starts to align with your conscious mind and gives you the right information, the things that you need, and it's all better and it's all aligned together, right? So that's where you have to start on. You have to start on giving your subconscious mind the right direction, the right choices, like we talked about here, resisting those temptations, resisting those urges, and then your mind will be on the same page as you, as your consciousness. And you'll have the ability to control your mind and then get what you want out of life because you have that alignment. Everything is much easier when your mind is aligned and all three selves are aligned and you know exactly what you want and you go get it and you make the right choices and there's no internal battle, there's no internal dialogue. It's just easy, right? It's smooth. A lot of you guys are dealing with this internal dialogue and you're falling into it. You have to separate your conscious and your subconscious mind and you have to give your subconscious mind direction through the choices and the actions that you're having every single day. And think about the man you want to become, and your subconscious mind will become that person too. And the third and final thing, and ultimately the thing that you want, is that you start to become the person that you want to be, right? You become the person you ultimately have aspired to be. I'm sure all of you guys, you want to be role models to other people. You want to be leaders. You want to be someone that other people look up to. And when you start to overcome your temptations, when you start to overcome your urges, when you start to win these internal battles, you can actually start to become a role model, to start to become the person that you ultimately want to become. Okay? You become that person. Okay? That is what's happening, right? You don't become that person because you won the lottery or you got some external thing or you got some material thing. You become that person through making the right choices, through doing the right decisions, through having the right habits, through winning these battles, these internal battles. You become the person through the internal thing, and then the external is just a byproduct of that, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't control the external. The only thing you can control is your inner state and the choices that you make every single day. So when you start to make the right choices and you start to control your inner state and you start to get on the same page as your subconscious mind, you become the person that you want to become, right? Because you are aligning with yourself internally. You are living in congruence with the person you want to be through the actions, through the habits, through the decisions, through overcoming these temptations, these urges, right? That is how you become the person you want to become. And once you start to do this, you will actually become that person, right? For so long, I wanted to have, a nicer physique, a nicer body. I was super, 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 super skinny, right? I was like level one, negative level one, right? And so in order for me to get there, I had to start making the choices, making the habits, doing the decisions, overcoming the urges, overcoming the temptation, right? If I was never able to overcome these urges, overcome these temptations, I wouldn't be here talking about it to you guys. And you wouldn't have that sense of in your mind that you know I'm right, right? So once you do all these things, you will start to become the person that other people look up to, right? You want to be the role model. You want to have won these internal battles and then pass this wisdom along to other people too. So it starts with you doing the right things, you overcoming these urges, you overcoming the temptations, you making the right choices, and you living in congruence with the person that you want to become. What does that person do on an every single day basis? Do you even know what that person looks like for you? If you don't, write it out. and then start living in congruence with that person through the actions, the habits, and the decisions and the choices you make every single day, and start to win these battles. Transmute the energy, right? It is your man, Tyler James. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Please let me know your thoughts on the video below. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.